Thank you so much for joining us today on today's webinar. My name is Pam Anson, and I am the Director of Brand Outreach at the Better Business Bureau serving Greater Cleveland. Today we have with us Brandon Smith, and he's the Public Affairs Specialist for the Social Security Administration, and we'll be talking about the basics of Social Security. If you have any questions throughout this webinar, please feel free to type them in the questions box, and we'll try to have time at the end to go over any or all of your questions. And I just want to give a little introduction on Brandon before he starts. Brandon Smith is a native of Cleveland, Ohio, who joined the Social Security Administration in 2003. And prior to this, Brandon worked as a teacher for 3 years in the Diocese of Cleveland. He started his government career as a claims representative in the Middleburg Heights field office, where he specialized in retirement, survivors, disability, and health insurance. In 2007, Brandon became the Public Affairs Specialist in the Metro Cleveland area. Brandon is the primary contact for media relations, outreach, and presentations for the agency in Cuyahoga, Lake Lorraine, and Geauga counties. In 2012, Brandon received a Regional Communicator Award from the Social Security Administration. Later that year, Brandon was among the inaugural recipients of the Black Diamond Award from the Greater Cleveland Delta Foundation Life Development Center. Brandon is a member of the 2014 Kaleidoscope Magazine's 40 Under 40 Club, and in the summer of 2015, Brandon received a Deputy Commissioner citation from Social Security's Office of Communication for his outstanding public affairs support of the agency's national communications initiatives. Brandon is a member of various cultural and educational institutions in Greater Cleveland, such as the Western Reserve Historical Society, the Cleveland Museum of Art, the Conservancy for the Cuyahoga Valley National Park, the Cleveland Metro Parks Zoo, and the Cleveland Museum of Natural History. In late 2018, he started his own podcast titled The Brandon Show. Brandon and his lovely wife, LaToya, are the proud parents of 2 beautiful children, a handsome son and a beautiful daughter, along with 2 cats. Well, Brandon, thank you so much for joining us today, and we really appreciate you sharing this information with us.
Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it, everybody. As Pam so graciously stated, my name is Brandon Smith. I'm a Public Affairs Specialist for Social Security. Let me jump into it. Today, we're going to go over the basics regarding Social Security, retirement survivor, spousal. We're going to touch on Medicare as well. Please understand that all the information I'm going to give you is specific to 2020. The numbers usually change every year. We usually find out what the new numbers are going to be in October or so. 2020 has been a different type of year, so I don't want to make any guarantees, but assuming everything else goes true to form, in about 2 months, we will find out what the 2021 numbers are. So just take everything I tell you with a grain of salt from the perspective of dollar amounts. The second thing is, please understand that this is really general information. By no means should this be construed as advice. I'm not a financial planner. I'm not a soothsayer. I'm not a fortune teller. I can't tell you what is in your best interest regarding when you should take your benefits. And the final thing, and I was jokingly telling this to Pam before we got started, I'm not an ombudsman. In other words, if you have a long-winded conversation with someone at Social Security, I'm not the best person to talk to after the fact to verify the accuracy of what he or she said. Because in fairness, I wasn't there for the conversation and I don't know all the context. So I'll answer a question that you pose to me to the best of my ability. I don't want to pretend to know the reasoning why someone else gave you an answer that might be different than mine. I'm off my soapbox. I'm fully hydrated with my water. With that, let's get started. So start the slideshow from the beginning. It's temperamental. Here we go. So we're with you through life's journeys. We're securing your today and tomorrow. As these pictures illustrate, Social Security really impacts you at various stages of life. I'm assuming a number of you are, if not parents, you got nieces, nephews, maybe your grandparents. You know, you have that baby or babies, and often you have the option of filling out some paperwork in the hospital. We call it enumeration at birth to get their Social Security card. So we're with you when you're first born. There's this old running joke you'll see in a lot of sitcoms where a character in their late teens or early 20s will get their first job and they'll open up that paycheck and they'll say, who is FICA and why are they taking so much out of my check? So you become abundantly aware of Social Security once you start working and you notice that you're paying into the system. If you decide to get married or divorced or remarried and take the last name of your husband or wife, we're there for you with the name changes. If you become unable to work because of a physical, mental, or psychological condition, we're there for you with multiple disability benefits. Of course, at some point, we're all going to meet our maker. And in the event of the passing of your husband, wife, ex-husband, ex-wife, we're there for you with survivor benefits. And of course, we're there for you with retirement benefits. Social Security is arguably the most successful domestic program in the country's history. We just turned 85 a couple of weeks ago. With that, let's go for it. A couple of years ago, we stopped sending out the annual Social Security statement. It was the green and white form that you would get a couple of months before your birthday. We have resumed sending out the statement, but now you'd only get it if you are 60 and older and not receiving Social Security benefits yet. So if you're sitting there and you're in your late 50s or younger and you want to get a copy of your statement, you can do that free of charge on our website, socialsecurity.gov/myaccount. You have to be at least 18 years old with a domestic mailing address, an email address, and a Social Security number in order to create a My Social Security account. A couple of summers ago, we also unveiled an extra security feature to where whenever you want to access your account, you'll give us your cell number, your email address, because we're going to send you a code that'll last for about 10 minutes. So for example, I would put in my username, I put in my password, I would wait for that text message to come to my phone. It usually takes seconds. And then I have 10 minutes to enter that code in as sort of an extra security feature. What are the benefits of creating or using a My Social Security account? If you're not receiving Social Security benefits yet, you can use a My Social Security account to get your statement. It shows you how much you paid in the Social Security, it shows how much you paid in the Medicare. It'll give you estimates of your future benefits. It'll let you check the status of your application. Contrary to popular belief, we don't know how much money you made in a given year. We just know what was reported to us. When it comes to Social Security, I am not someone who wants to motivate you to do anything by fear. I'm pretty sure for the bulk, if not all of you, your Social Security statement is 100% correct. But anytime there's human intervention, mistakes happen. Somebody with your payroll or another job or something like that, they transpose a couple of numbers. Maybe you worked multiple jobs and not everything posted correctly, or maybe you considered yourself to be an employee, but your quote unquote boss considered you to be an independent contractor. They didn't give you a W-2, they gave you a 1099. You didn't know what to do with it, so you didn't do anything with it, and nothing posted your earnings record. I'll say this: if you have the opportunity to pull up the earnings that we're going to use to potentially pay you a check for the rest of your life, why not give it a cursory glance once a year, once every couple of years? That way, if you catch an inaccuracy, it gives you the opportunity to correct it. For example, if you pull up your earnings record and say 2017 or 18 is incorrect, you can probably still get your hands on that year's W-2 and then correct the information through your local Social Security office. One of the main things that drives people to contact us is requesting a replacement Social Security card. That can be done online, once again, via the My Social Security account. It's a replacement card that you can request, not a name change. So if you need to change your name because of a marriage or a divorce or a legal name change, that can't be done via the My Social Security. But if your name is, John Smith, and we have John Smith in our records, and you just need a replacement card that shows John Smith, you can request that free of charge on your own leisure time via the My Social Security account. If you're already receiving Social Security or Medicare, you can use the My Social Security account to report your wages. If you're working and receiving disability benefits, you can use it to get a benefit verification letter. You can use it to change your address, your telephone number, your direct deposit. You can use it to get a 1099 for tax purposes. You can use it to get a replacement Medicare card, and you can use it to get a replacement Social Security card. Once again, one thing I failed to mention, if you're not receiving Social Security benefits, you can use the My Social Security account to get a letter that proves that you're not receiving benefits. There might be an instance in which you need to prove to some entity that you're not collecting Social Security benefits, and you can do that once again via the My Social Security account at socialsecurity.gov/my-account. To be eligible for Social Security retirement benefits, you need to work and pay into the system for a certain period of time, and you need to be of a certain age. As far as your age is concerned, you got to be at least 62 years old to be eligible for Social Security retirement benefits. Every month that you are willing and able to wait beyond 62, the check would increase. So if you're 62 and 9 months old, that check is larger than it would have been at 62 and 2 months. Every month makes a difference. As far as your work is concerned, you need to have worked and paid into Social Security for at least 10 years on a part-time basis. Those 10 years do not have to be consecutive. Over the course of 10 years of work, you would earn 40 credits. You can earn up to 4 credits per year. This year in 2020, 1 credit of coverage is earned for every $1,410 that you make. So to earn 4 credits this year, it's $5,640. Ladies and gentlemen, this is sort of the non-negotiable sourdough starter foundational information regarding benefit eligibility. You need to have worked and paid into Social Security for at least 10 years. It might be longer depending on if and when you fall in and out of the workforce, and you have to be at least 62 years old to be eligible for benefits. Having worked and paid into Social Security for 10 years and having 40 credits does not guarantee you a specific amount. It just means that you'll be eligible for an amount. This is the full retirement age chart. This chart shows you, based on the year that you were born, what age you would have to wait to get your unreduced benefits. It used to be 65 across the board until the 1983 Social Security amendments. Those amendments stretched it out to what you see in front of you. It started with people that were born in 1938. So if you're born in 1937 or earlier, it's still 65. Born in 1938, it's 65 plus 2 months, and went up by 2 months every year, all the way to 65 and 10 months if you're born in 1942. If you were born between 1943 and 1954, as the chart illustrates, the full retirement age is 66. If you're turning 62 this year, your full retirement age is 66 and 8 months. If you were born 1960 or later, like I'm sure most of you were, because like me, I'm barely old enough to rent a car. Your full retirement age is 67. This is not Social Security telling you that you have to wait until these arbitrary ages to collect benefits. What we're telling you, though, is if you want to collect your unreduced check, you'd have to wait until your full retirement age. For the most part, it's a question of when. When on that timeline of your life do you feel it's appropriate for you to take a check? It's like the balancing scales of justice. Do you want a smaller check sooner or a larger check later on? By starting sooner, you'll get the checks a little bit earlier in life. You'll get more checks overall, but you will be locked into a lower rate. Versus waiting until you're older, you'd get more money per check. But if you're 67 versus 62, no matter how long you live, you are a couple of years closer to the eventual end of your life. You got to play your mortality into the equation. How long did mom and dad live? What's your overall health situation looking like? Do you need the money now versus later? No matter when you start to collect your Social Security benefits, as of your full retirement age, there's no longer a limit on how much you can work and earn to collect said benefits. So if you started collecting at 62, but you're working full time, and then you reach whatever your full retirement age is, at that point, if you want to go full time, work overtime, become a C-suite executive, knock yourself out. You can work it on whatever you want to. What happens if I wait beyond my full retirement age to collect benefits? The check will continue to grow strictly because of your age until you turn 70. 70 is when you are going to get the largest age-based check. Excuse me 1 second. I got to close the door. The cats are going crazy. Oh, baby, can you close the door? Just close the door. Sorry about that. It's a zoo here. It's a zoo. So anyway, if you want to get the largest age-based check possible, you got to wait until you're 70 years old. Beyond 70, the checks will not increase anymore because of your age. They would only potentially increase because of future wages or cost of living increases. Last thing I want to say about this is you'll see what the percentage reduction would be at 62 versus your full retirement age. So for example, let's say someone is born in 1954, they're turning 66 this year. If they had started at 62, they would have been getting 25% less per check, but they would have been getting 4 more years of checks. Spousal benefits. So you have decided to take that leap and go apply for your benefits. Because you're on Social Security, certain family members are potentially eligible to also collect on your record. Your spouse, ex-spouse, child, or children receiving benefits on your record does not lower your check. It's not spousal support. It's not, child support. We don't take money from you to pay them. The first individual we want to talk about is your spouse. Spouse is a gender-neutral term. Could be a husband, could be a wife. The gender makeup of the couple is an utter non-issue. In this situation, for your husband or wife to be eligible on your work record while you guys are still alive, a couple things have to be in place. Number one, you got to be married, and you need to be married for at least 1 year. Second, your spouse who was applying on your record needs to be at least 62 years old, unless you guys have children that are under the age of 16 or children that are disabled before turning 22. Finally, we cannot pay your spouse benefits on your work record until you apply for benefits. My go-to example is a couple that I call Dave and Jane. Dave and Jane, they fell in love in the early 80s. They decided to get married. And now fast forward, they're both in their 60s or 70s. And for the sake of the example, let's assume that it's Jane who was a significantly higher wage earner than her husband, Dave. So for Dave to be eligible on Jane's record, a couple things have to be in place. Number one, he has to be married to her for at least a year. He needs to be at least 62 unless they have minor disabled children. And Dave cannot collect one dime from Jane's record while they're married and they're both still alive until she opts to take her own benefits. How much can you collect as a spouse? You may have all have been told or you heard that, oh, you're going to get half. Oh, you'll get half of Carl's benefits. You'll get half of Danielle's benefits. Not quite. It depends. The most you could receive is 50% of the other person's full retirement age amount. But that's predicated on a couple things. Number one, how old are you as the spouse when you're applying for those benefits? Because if you're not at your full retirement age as a spouse, you're not eligible for the full 50%. There's a reduction in the benefit that you can collect because of how old you are. So for me, I'm bottom right corner. If I took my check as a spouse at 62 versus my full retirement age of 67, there'd be a 35% reduction in what I could receive because of my age. In most circumstances, the age of the applicant is going to dictate the percentage that he or she receives. Also, what if I'm already getting money on my own work record? So let's say I'm receiving a retirement check and then later on I become eligible for spousal benefits. Well, the amount of my retirement check is going to affect how much I collect as a spouse. Let's say I'm getting $1,000 in retirement benefits, but I'm only eligible for $400 as a spouse. Well, in that circumstance, you're not going to get spousal benefits because you're already collecting a larger benefit amount based on your own work record. Now, there is not an age-based reduction if the reason why you're collecting benefits is because you have the children under the age of 16 or the disabled adult children. And finally, once again, you collecting the record of your husband or wife does not lower his or her benefit. Divorce spousal benefits. In this situation, everybody is still alive. Both parties are at least 62 years old. The marriage had to last for at least 10 consecutive years. And the person that wants to apply for benefits needs to be unmarried, because you can't have a husband or wife and sign up for Social Security benefits on the record of a living ex-spouse. So let's go back to the Dave and the Jane scenario. Dave and Jane got married in 1985. Let's say they got divorced in 2002. Now they're both in their early 60s, and Dave wants to inquire about benefit eligibility on Jane's record. Burden of proof is on him. So Dave needs to be able to prove that they were married for at least 10 consecutive years. So we need to see the marriage certificate. We need to see the divorce decree. We need Jane's Social Security number. We need Dave's Social Security number. And Dave needs to be unmarried. Well, what about Jane? What if she's gotten remarried? That's a non-issue regarding Dave's eligibility. A logical question is, what if I was married 2 or 3 times? Can I get 2 or 3 checks? The answer is no. We can pay you off whichever record you feel is most beneficial. Let's say you're married 3 times. First marriage was for 11 years. The second one was for 12, and the final one was for 13. You've been busy, but whichever record could pay you the most money will pay you as long as you obviously meet all the criteria based on age, length of marriage, benefit amounts, and you have the proof to show you were married. As far as your kids are concerned, for your children to be eligible for benefits, the parent has to be on Social Security retirement, Social Security disability, or have unfortunately passed away. When we say children, of course, we're talking about a son or a daughter. We're talking about your biological, adopted, step, or even grandchildren under certain circumstances. In most cases, the children have to be unmarried and under the age of 18, 19, but still in high school, not college, where the children can be of any age as long as they were disabled before they turn 22. You're 64 years old, you're about to go for Social Security, you have a 30-year-old daughter, she's been disabled since she was 10, and she's unmarried, she's potentially eligible for benefits. You're 63 years old, you got you got triplets, 17-year-olds who will turn 18 in December but won't graduate until May. Your triplets, who all want to go to Case Western and or Oberlin, are going to potentially be eligible for benefits, which you are definitely going to need until they graduate from high school, because they're still full-time students in high school. As I mentioned before, it isn't child support. We're not paying you less money because you're children. Also, it's sort of like a pizza or a pie. Your family maximum benefit, it's only so large. So more people doesn't mean more money. You're just slicing it up more ways. And if you're in a non-quarantine, non-COVID world, you're watching a baseball game, you got a buddy comes over, or a buddy and their spouse, and you and your spouse, and it's just 4 of you guys, you got a nice large, extra large pizza, it's probably enough food. But all of a sudden, the family from your next door neighbors, and people behind you, and people from across the street, all of a sudden it's 6 couples, and 1 pizza is not going to be enough food. So you can see where my head is being in the house for the last 4 months. Your benefit amount from Social Security is based on a percentage of the monthly average of your highest 35 years of work paid into the system. Not the last 3, not the high 5, not the high 10. What you receive is a percentage of the monthly average of what you worked and earned over the course of 35 years. Well, what if I don't have 35 years of work? Then we're using some zeros. That isn't a good thing, that isn't a bad thing, that's just sort of the reality of the situation. Please do not feel any undue pressure from us to continue to work until you have 35 years. That's really a non-issue. As long as you have the 10 years of work and you meet the age requirement, we'll pay you a check. but at least be aware that the benefit amount is based on the highest 35 years of Social Security covered wages. So we take the highest 35 years of your Social Security covered wages, we adjust those years for inflation, we add them up, we divide them by 420. That's the number of months there are in 35 years. And what we pay you is a percentage of said amount. Well, what if I continue to work after receiving Social Security? Can that help me? Well, sure. Let's say you want to apply for benefits tomorrow. Well, since we're still in 2020, we would use your earnings more likely through the end of 2019. But if 2020, if 2021, if 2025, any future wages you have, if they're higher than one of the previously high 35 years we used, it will replace it. Now, the system does it automatically, but I'm big on having people be proactive versus reactive when it comes to their benefit. Example, you're going to get proof of your earnings, especially if you work for a company, an organization, or an agency and get a W-2. You're going to get that proof before this information is going to hit our system. So you're going to get your W-2 in January. So if you're on Social Security and you're still working, it's probably nothing wrong with making a photocopy if you can and sending in a copy of your W-2 to us. Best case scenario, that year of earnings makes a bit of a difference. Worst case scenario, it doesn't, then your benefit won't really change. But want you to be somewhat, realistic about it. If you were someone who was making 80 grand for the bulk of your career, and all of a sudden, for a year or two, you make 100, that's not going to pull up 30 odd years all that much. A difference will it make? Sure. But I don't want people to think, oh, I made some good earnings for the last couple of years. All of a sudden it's going to be a $200 or $300 increase. No, it might be just a couple of bucks here, a couple of bucks there. So just to be aware. I got, ladies and gentlemen, let me just say, I'm sitting at this desk, and I've been doing this for the bulk of the last couple of months. The kids, the cats, they're usually fine. They are acting out. The 3-month-old kitten is trying to climb on the curtain. The 2-year-old cat is trying to wrestle them. It's true. They know when you're on the phone or you're working, and they do not care. Technically, right now, there are 2 options that you have to apply for benefits. You can apply online on our website, socialsecurity.gov. You can apply online every single day of the year. You can apply for Social Security retirement benefits, spousal benefits, disability benefits, and Medicare. As I mentioned, you can apply online every single solitary day of the year. Monday through Friday, you can apply online as early as 5 a.m. to 1 a.m. On Saturdays, 5 a.m. to 11, and Sundays, 8 to 11:30 p.m. You can do it in a piecemeal fashion. So let's say you got 5 minutes today, 10 minutes tomorrow, 15 minutes over the weekend. You can pick up from where you left off. As I mentioned before, every day of the year, Christmas, New Year, Super Bowl Sunday, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, the day of the Browns Super Bowl parade, which will probably be on Zoom, but I'll still cry because it's the Browns. You can do that whenever you want to. My degree from the University of Akron is in interpersonal public communication. I try to be as clear and concise when I'm talking to somebody. I don't like using unnecessary adjectives. So I'm not someone who wants to say, oh, it'll be easy for you to apply online. And this may sound silly. I don't know what easy is to you. For some of you, you're online all the time. Social media, you're shopping online, you do your taxes online, playing games. You got Wi-Fi all over the house. You got a mesh network. You're good to go. Others of you, you still have a VCR that is flashing 12. You got to know thyself. And if it's a situation where you don't know what your Wi-Fi password is, I mean, I'm being somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but like I said, I don't want someone to think, hey, I never used a computer, but let me try it online. It may work out for you, may not. I just don't know. If you aren't someone who is comfortable doing stuff online, you do have the option of calling us. We're available via the phone. There's our toll-free national number, which is 1-800-772-1213. That is SSA 1213. That number is available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. for you to speak to a representative. Once again, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5:30. You can call 1-800-772-1213. If you need to speak to someone in your local office, there are 8 offices in Cuyahoga County, about 28, 29 in northern, actually 30-ish in northern Ohio. Every office's phone number is available on our website. You'd simply go to socialsecurity.gov/agency/contact. That's socialsecurity.gov/agency/contact. You go down to the bottom of the page, you go to our field office locator. The field office locator allows you to get the phone number for your local office based on your zip code. So, for example, let's say you live in the 44017 zip code. That is that area belongs to Lakewood. So it'll give you the phone number and the mailing address and the fax number to our Lakewood office, which is on Detroit Avenue in the city of Lakewood. I know it's across from St. James Catholic Church next to a Dunkin' Donuts. So once again, I know where places to eat are. So once again, socialsecurity.gov/agency/contact. Go down to the bottom of the page to the field office locator, pop in your zip code, and it'll give you your servicing office's phone number and fax number. Local field office representatives are available to answer your calls Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., except for the federal holidays. I know it's been one blurry year. Labor Day. I think Labor Day is coming up in about a week and a half, so we'll be closed on that day. Sorry. This is our website, socialsecurity.gov. It doesn't look like that right now. Right now, there'd be a lot more coronavirus-related information, but the basic layout is the same. You see that picture of the gentleman with the adorable granddaughter on his shoulders. You click on there, and that'll take you to our retirement, spousal, and Medicare page. You can apply for disability benefits. You can get every form and publication we have available. You can order hard copies. You can download PDFs. We even have audio for most of our publications. You'll see at the top where there's a picture of a globe, and it says languages. That'll take you to our multi-language gateway. Multi-language gateway allows you to get information in a multitude of different languages. 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, including American Sign Language. So everything from American Sign Language to Vietnamese, Arabic, Chinese, Farsi, French, Polish, Korean, Italian, Portuguese, Russian, Greek. I think they just took Pig Latin off of there. So if you need information in one of these different languages, you can. We have a Spanish version of our website, segurosocial.gov, where if you wanted to get information in Espanol. Survivor benefits. At this point, someone has unfortunately passed away. For the children, the criteria is the same as it would be if the parents were still alive. Children need to be unmarried and under the age of 18, 19, but still in high school, not college, or the children could be of any age as long as they were disabled. As far as the widow or widower is concerned, once again, gender neutral term. For a surviving spouse to potentially be eligible on the record of his or her late husband, late wife, a couple things have to have occurred. Number one, the applicant needs to be at least 60 years old or 50 and disabled, or you can be of any age as long as you have children that are under the age of 16 or children that are disabled before the age of 22. As far as the length of marriage is concerned, it depends on how did the marriage end. So if your marriage ended because of death, the normal duration is 9 months. If you were divorced from the late worker Then the marriage had to be in place for at least 10 consecutive years before you got divorced. Then, of course, they passed away. And finally, you can be remarried to someone else and qualify for benefits as long as your new marriage takes place after you turn 60 or 50 if you're disabled. So let me quickly wrap that up in a neat little bow. You want to apply for benefits on the record of someone else, and that someone else is still alive. If that's the case, either you are still married to that person and have been married for at least a year, or you're no longer married to that person, but you were married to them for at least 10 years and you are completely single. If you want to apply for benefits on the record of someone else and that someone else is no longer alive, how did the marriage end? Through their passing, 9 months, through divorce, 10 consecutive years, and are you remarried? If so, did it occur after you turned 60 or 50 if you're disabled? If you are at your full retirement age or older, you're potentially eligible for 100% of the benefit amount of your late spouse, assuming that you aren't already collecting a benefit amount that is equal to their benefit. Back to Dave and Jane. Jane's getting $1,000, Dave's getting $700. So every month that household's getting $1,700. Fast forward a couple of decades, and let's say Jane unfortunately passes away first. Her $1,000 is going to stop. We can't pay her anymore. She's no longer alive. Dave applies for survivor benefits to take his 700 up to the 1,000 to match what she was receiving. So he, as the surviving spouse, is getting a benefit amount that is equal to that of hers. But the household's going to get less money because, of course, he's gone down to one benefit. What happens if you twist that scenario around? Once again, Jane's getting 1,000, Dave's getting 700. Let's say Dave unfortunately passes away first. Well, then there's no additional benefit to pay Jane because she was already collecting a larger benefit amount. If an individual is not at his or her full retirement age, then there's usually a reduction in the benefit that he or she can collect because of their age. So if you're only 60 years old or 50 and disabled, you're eligible for up to 71.5% of the benefit of your late husband or late wife. So if your husband or wife prior to their passing was getting, say, $1,000, you'd be eligible for $715 if you were only 60. And every month that you'd be willing and able to wait, the check would increase. There's nothing that you can do to increase the amount of the survivor check other than waiting until you're older, because it's based on the work record of someone that's no longer with us and the age of the applicant. Let's say you're eligible for both survivor benefits and your own retirement. You can pick and choose which benefit you want to collect first, and then you can switch to the other one if it's going to pay you more money later on in life. And let's say you're 58 years old, you're about to retire in a couple of years, and your husband or wife has unfortunately passed away. Well, at 60, you're only going to be eligible for the survivor benefit, so let's say you opt to collect that. Then 2 years later at 62, we run the numbers and maybe you're eligible for a little bit more money as a retiree. You can switch then if you want to, or you can continue to let your benefit grow, because remember, your benefit will continue to grow strictly because you waited until you turned 70. I've seen 2 instances in my 17-year plus career where an individual applied for survivor benefits and then switched a decade later at 70 to his or her own retirement benefits. The analogy I've been using for years, as I said, I've been with Social Security since June of 2003. I've been in this position since April of 2007. And this is a clunky analogy, but think of survivor and retirement benefits as 2 houses in the same neighborhood. You can live in one house and then move to the other house. You just can't move back. So if you're collecting survivor benefits and then you switch to retirement, you can't go back to survivor payments. I have never seen an application for parents' benefits. You would be the parent at least 62 years old. One of your adult children has passed away, but before they passed away, they were providing at least half of your support. So you're the parent collecting Social Security benefits because of the work record of your late adult child. Last but not least, there's the lump sum death payment. It is a one-time check of $255 that could be paid in most cases to the surviving spouse or dependent children. Everything I've talked about so far, retirement, survivor, spousal, ex-spousal, parents' benefits, there's a limit to how much you can work and earn and receive these benefits. These are the limits to you as the applicant. As I said in the very beginning, take these numbers with a grain of salt because they are specific to this year. We don't know what they're going to be next year. And these numbers are based on gross earned wages as employees or net profits from self-employment. So if you're not working, but you're collecting money from investments or rental income or inheritances, those are non-issues. I'm sure the IRS cares, but that's a non-issue for Social Security. Everyone's going to fall into one of three categories. Number one, let's say you're already 66 years old, or you're going to be 66 years old within the next couple of days. So your birthday is September 1st or earlier, and you're going to be 66. So that's you. Happy birthday. And we already consider you to be 66 years old. So if that's you, you're already 66, you're already at your full retirement age. You can work and earn whatever you want to and collect benefits. There's no longer earnings limit upon you. Scenario number two, maybe you're nowhere near being 66. Let's say you're just going to be 63 years old this year. Then you're subject to the smaller earnings limit, which means if you're going to work this entire calendar year, you're allowed to, well, it's a free country, make whatever you want to make. But if you're trying to collect all of your checks, the limit is $18,240 in gross earned wages or net profits from self-employment. And the way the earnings test works is for every $2 you would make above the limit, we would hold back $1 in benefit. Well, you may say, well, how does Social Security know how much I'm going to make? You tell us. When you apply online or over the phone, you're going to be asked, are you still working, yes or no? And if so, how much do you expect to make? We're paying you based on your estimate. Now, you're all adults, highly intelligent. You're going to do what's in your best interest. My unsolicited 2 cents would be, you may want to guess high. Not ridiculously so, but on the higher range just to give yourself some wiggle room. So for example, let's say you know you're going to make anywhere between 25 and 30 grand. You're not sure how much, but you know it's going to be within that range. If you tell us 30 grand, we'll hold back the number of checks we need to based on that estimate. Then when you get your actual W-2, maybe you only made 25 grand. Well, now we owe you money as an underpayment because we held back more money than we needed to. Versus if you tell us, oh, I'm going to make 25,000, but you end up making 30. We don't have any mechanism in place for tracking your earnings in real time. We don't know if you become a vice president or some sort of executive, or if you get another job, or if you get a great raise. We don't know that in real time. So it'd be up to you to give us a call back or contact us some way with a new estimate of what your earnings is going to be. Or when you initially apply, just highball it a little bit, and then you'll get your money back later on. Finally, what if you're going to be 66 years old this year, but it's not until October, November, December? Well, that's the case. As of the first day of the month in which you turn 66, you can make whatever you want to. We would only be concerned about how much money you're going to make in the months prior to that. And let's say your birthday is October 10th. And on October 10th, you're going to be 66 years old. That means as far as we're concerned, as of October 1st, you're 66. We would only be concerned about how much money you're going to make through the end of September. So if through September 30th, you're going to make, $48,600 or less, you can conceivably start collecting your benefits now if you wanted to. It isn't a black or white decision. It's very much shades of gray. Maybe for you, you're going to make a grand or two over the limit, but you still feel like that's going to be in your best interest to take the benefit now. By all means, we'll take the application. You do not have to stop working to collect retirement checks. All right, on to the hard stuff. All jokes aside, for the most part, I've always said this, with Social Security, in most instances, it's just a question of when. When in that timeline of your life do you feel it's appropriate for you to take a check? Because for most people, their eligibility disability, it just sort of happened in the background. You were working because you needed to put a roof over your head, food on the table, and clothes on your back, and the happy byproduct of that is you became eligible for benefits. You stayed married to somebody for whatever reasons were important to you, and now you're eligible for said benefits. And, by the grace of a higher power, you continue to wake up every day, and now you're in your 60s and eligible for benefits. The longer you wait, the larger the check is. So if you woke up tomorrow and you were 70 years old and you forgot to take benefits at 62, guess what? We're going to pay you more money. Medicare's a little bit different. With Medicare, you got more definitive timelines to make a decision, and if you fail to do as such, you run the risk of you paying more money out of your pocket. What is Medicare? Medicare's federal health insurance for people that are aged or with certain disabilities. To qualify for Medicare, you got to be 65 years old or older, unless you're on Social Security disability for at least 2 years. You have a myotrophic lateral sclerosis, much better known and much easier to say as ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease. You have kidney failure. Or you live in Libby, Montana, and that population was exposed to asbestos. You don't live in Libby, Montana. I certainly hope, all jokes aside, that your kidneys and you don't have ALS. My guess is that most of you maybe aren't on Social Security disability. So age 65 is when you need to be sort of cognizant of getting on Medicare. There are 3 enrollment windows in which you can actively go sign up for Medicare. These windows do not overlap. Now, if you sign up for Social Security benefits before turning 65, you'll be automatically enrolled in Medicare at 65. I'll say that again. If you sign up for Social Security benefits before turning 65, you will be automatically enrolled in Medicare at 65. But let's say that isn't the case, and let's say you need to go actively sign up for it, then you'd have 3 non-overlapping windows. The initial enrollment period, which is a 7-month window. It's the month of 65 plus the 3 months before and the 3 months after. So when is your birthday? Subtract 3 months, add 3 months, those 7 total months, that's your initial enrollment period. Unless your birthday is on the first of the month. If your birthday is the first of the month, you got to shift everything up a month. Because if your birthday, say, is May 1st, we consider you to be 65 on April 30th. So if you're born on May 2nd, like soccer star David Beckham, your initial enrollment period would be February through August. If your birthday is May 1st, it would be January through July. Let's say you're still working, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm almost done. So just rest assured, we're mercifully almost done. Let's say you're still working, you're still covered based on your job's healthcare plan, or you're still covered based on your husband or wife's current job's healthcare plan. In most instances, you could be granted a special enrollment period. Special enrollment period allows you to delay signing up for both parts of Medicare until you're no longer going to be covered by that job's healthcare plan. What I will say is this: if you're going to continue to work after 65, make sure you're abundantly aware of what, if any, expectations your job or your husband or wife's job has for you. In other words, some people's jobs may expect them to sign up for Medicare Part A, some may not care at all. Some of you might be paying into a health savings account and you're not supposed, you shouldn't be on Medicare at all. Always check. I've heard of some jobs that won't cover a Medicare eligible spouse. They'll cover the employee, but they won't cover the spouse. So I can't give you a blanket answer on what you should do if you're still working, because I don't know what expectations, if there are any, are from the employer that's granting you the healthcare coverage. The $64,000 question is, do I need to take Medicare at all? Once again, it's a free country. Do what you want to do. But if you don't sign up for Medicare at 65, and if you don't sign up during a special enrollment period, you run the risk of paying more money out of your pocket. Let's say I'm 65 years old today. I'm looking good, feeling fine. I'm on CBD oils and goat's milk. Fast forward 5 years, the oil and the milk isn't working. So now I need to get on Medicare. Well, I'm outside of my initial enrollment period, and I'm outside of a special enrollment period because I wasn't working and wasn't covered. So I'd have to sign up during a general enrollment period, which would go January 1st through March 31st. But wait a minute, it's August. Oh, shoot. I'd have to wait until the following January. But the coverage wouldn't kick in until July of that year. And for every 12 months that have gone by that I could have been on Medicare but wasn't, there's a 10% increase to my Medicare Part B premium, and I'll pay that increased premium for the rest of my life. There are 2 phone numbers and 2 websites while I'm talking that I want to give you, because We are not the source for Medicare information. I would not call Social Security if you have a litany of Medicare questions. That's just not what we do. In front of you, there's the website to Medicare themselves. It's medicare.gov, medicare.gov. Medicare's phone number is 1-800-633-4227, 1-800-633-4227. There's also an organization based out of Columbus that offers free Medicare information. Their name is OSHIP, with a P. Stands for the Ohio Senior Health Insurance Information Program, OSHIIP. Their phone number is 1-800-686-1578. That's 1-800-686-1578. Their website is insurance.ohio.gov. In front of you are the basic parts to Medicare. Original Medicare is Part A and Part B. Part A is your hospital insurance. Part B is your outpatient doctor services portion. For most people, there's no monthly out-of-pocket cost for Medicare Part A, but there's a deductible. This year, it's $1,408. Medicare Part B covers 80% of your outpatient doctor services after you pay the deductible. The deductible for Part B is $198. The standard monthly premium for Medicare Part B is $144.60 per month per person. Original Medicare does not cover vision and dental. So for some people, they will have some sort of secondary provider. That could be a Medicare supplement plan, also known as a Medigap plan. Could be health insurance based on former employment. So, if you have group health insurance as a retiree or union coverage, or it could be Medicaid. So you're dealing with the government for A and B and then this secondary provider. There's also something called a Medicare Advantage plan, known as Medicare Part C. A Medicare Advantage plan is a private company that's contract with Medicare to be your Medicare provider. Think of it as a Medicare HMO or PPO. With a Medicare Advantage plan, that private company manages all of your Medicare-related services. And then there's Part D, D for drugs. Private companies contract with Medicare to offer you drug coverage. So some people will have original Medicare A and B with a secondary provider in Part D, while others will just have a Medicare Advantage plan. An Advantage plan is not a supplement to Medicare. It is your Medicare provider. Last thing I want to show you. Someone in your sphere of influence has probably told you that you need to sign up for Medicare 3 months before you turn 65. That isn't true. It's if you need the coverage to start at 65, you need to sign up in one of the 3 months before. So for example, my birthday is in early May. So for me, if I need my coverage to start in May, I would need to sign up in February, March, or April. Because if I waited until the month of May, my month of 65, there's a 1 month delay for the Part B to start. If I sign up 1 month after 65, there's a 2 month delay in the Part B starting. And if I sign up 2 or 3 months after 65, there's a 3 month delay. So if you're born in May, hop on this train and follow along. If I sign up February, March, or April, I get the coverage in May. If I sign up in May, I get the Part B coverage in June. If I sign up in June, I get the Part B coverage in August. If I sign up in July, I don't get the Part B until October. And if I sign up in August, I don't get the Part B coverage until November. Ladies and gentlemen, before I get off the screen, let me run down all those phone numbers. Once again, Social Security, 1-800-772-1213. socialsecurity.gov/agency/contact to get the phone number to your local office. Medicare, 1-800-633-4227 or medicare.gov, and OSHIP. That never gets old to me. Ohio Senior Health Insurance Information Program. They are part of the Ohio Department of Insurance. Their phone number is 1-800-686-1578 or insurance.ohio.gov.
If there is any questions at the future, Brandon has provided you with contact information, and you can always contact me as well, and I can get those questions over to Brandon. My email is pam@cleveland.bbb.org.
Yeah, and for me, it's Brandon, BRANDON .Smith SMITH at ssa.gov. I will say this. If you find yourself typing up a question and you get to paragraph number 2, stop, delete, give me your phone number, we'll chat.
Brandon, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. This is always great information. And thank you, everyone, for attending. I really appreciate it.
Everybody, thank you so much. Stay safe. I'm sure this is the highlight of your day. Take care, and I look forward to any questions later on.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.